All right, guys. So the other topic for 1.7 is Japanese militarism. All right. So that is your title. Sorry. Prior to World War II, peace was already threatened by extreme nationalism in Japan. For the Chinese War began with Japanese invasion in 1931. It was the beginning of Japan's attempt to create an Asia-Pacific empire. Since the 19th century, Japan wanted to follow the example of European powers and create an empire. Okay, so they sort of wanted to create the Roman Empire within Japan. So Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 95, which took Taiwan and Ryukyu Islands. Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 05, gained control of Manchuria and sided with the Allies in World War I to gain German territories. Okay, so there was always a reason behind why they were entering into these wars, and it was to colonize different countries. All right, aggression in Manchuria. The Great Depression increased support for military and nationalists. Japan needed materials and exports from their expanding colonies, and the military soon had more power than the government. Japanese PM opposed aggressive foreign policy in 1930 and shortly after was shot by an extreme nationalist. Just be careful, it says short, but make sure you're saying shot. By early 1932, the military, acting against this government, remember they were independent from the government, occupied all Manchuria and changed its name, claiming that it was no longer a part of China. In that same year, they bombed Shanghai and then occupied particular parts of northern China. Okay, so we know China's an enormous country. It would have been really difficult for them to take it all. China protested at the League of Nations. So remember, the League of Nations was created after World War I with the Treaty of Versailles. But this didn't work for China. The League took no further action. You can see the map there. So where Japan had taken Manchuria, they were trying to take down here as well. The fascist alliances. So Japanese societies were very similar to European fascist governments. All right, so they encouraged fanatical devotion to military and emperor. They were violently nationalist, racist, anti-communist, and anti-democratic. They assassinated political opponents, and they used education used to indoctrinate. So if you haven't got that down from the fascist slides, I would highly recommend writing this down. Okay. Axis powers. So Japan and Germany became allies through Anti-Comintern Pact, November 1936. Italy joined in 1937 and became the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo Axis. In July of 1937, Japan launched a full-scale attack against China. So remember, the war was sort of starting to have some rumbles, but it didn't officially start just yet. The rape of Nanjing. The most appalling Japanese atrocities took place in China's Nanjing. Between December 1937 and January of 1938, Japanese slaughtered between 200,000 and 300,000 civilians and POWs. They were mass rapes of Chinese women, burning people alive, and they would use prisoners as bayonet practice. Okay, so the prisoners that they took were treated terribly. So you can see here a Japanese soldier is about to behead a Chinese prisoner during the massacre known as the Rape of Nanjing. This photo is one of several preserved by a Japanese employee of a photo studio.